Hello, good morning children. In the previous video I have explained some part of this why do we need a parliament. In that parliament also you have learned how the parliament, what are the roles of the parliament, how it will function, how to select the national government and how to control, guide and inform the government. Till there you have learned. Now you are going to learn law making, how the parliament will make laws, how the parliament will make the laws. Parliament makes the laws. Let's see. Okay. Law making is a significant function of the parliament. We shall read about this in the next chapter. So here they will give some introduction only. In the next chapters you will learn more about this law making. Who are the people in parliament? First see who are the people who will be there in the parliament. I already said you. Parliament means President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Three parts will be there. President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The parliament now has more and more people from different backgrounds. For example, there are more rural members as also members from many regional parties. Groups and peoples that were till now unrepresented are beginning to get elected to the parliament. I said from each state, MLAs, they will select MPs of different languages, different cultures, different religions. People will go as representatives to this Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay. There has also been an increase in political participation from the Dalit and backward caste and the minorities. So, from all these MLAs and MPs, they will belong to different religions and castes. So, so many minorities. Here, minorities means the people who are less in number. Okay. And tribal people. So, from all these classes, the participation will be there in parliament. Let us look at the following table that shows the percentage of the population who voted in Lok Sabha elections in different years. So, here, how many people participated in Lok Sabha elections? Here, a table is given. Let's see. A table. Okay. In first Lok Sabha elections 1951 to 52, how much percentage there? Let's see. I will draw here. Okay. (1951 to 52) voter turnout 44.87, and 1967 it was 61.04, and then in 1971 it was 55.27, in 1977 this was 60.49, and 1984 it was 63.56, 1991 it was 56.73, and then 2004 this was 58.07. Here, this is year and this is voter turnout. That means how many people, how many citizens they have participated, they have given their votes. See, here in 1951, that means first elections. Okay, first elections, second elections, third elections. Wait a second. This is first. In 1967, these are fourth elections. And then 71, fifth elections. This is 4, this is 5, 6, 8, 10th and 14th. Okay. So, in this 51, 52, how many people given their votes? 44.87. And by 67, that means after 3 elections, in fourth elections, what was the percentage? 61.404. 71 in 71, 55. See, that means in year by year, election by election, people's participation is increasing. It has been observed that representative democracy cannot produce a perfect reflection of society. There is a realization that when interests and experiences separate us, it is important to ensure that communities that have been historically marginalized are given adequate representation. When people are happy, when people believe this system, election system, and if they are treated equally, then only here we can observe that people have participated in election process. With this in mind, some seats are reserved in the parliament for SCs and STs, so that to increase the participation of the lower caste also in parliament, these SCs and STs representation also increased. That means some seats are reserved for these SCs and STs. This has been done so that the MPs elected from these constituencies will be familiar with and can represent Dalit and Adivasi interests in parliament. So, if these people are elected to the parliament means, what are the wishes of the people, what are the needs, what they want to do for their development, they raise their voice in parliament and they can get their demands to be done. Next. Similarly, it has more recently been suggested that there should be reservation of seats for women. So, after giving some priority to this SCs and STs, some reservation for, some percentage of reservation also is given for women, so that women also go and fought for their rights. Okay. This issue is still being debated. So, this women reservation also still being debated in parliament. 60 years ago, only 4% of MPs were women. So, 60 years ago, how much percentage of women's percentage was? Only 4%. When? 60 years ago. Okay, now it's 2020. That means 60 years ago means in 1960s like that. By that time, only 4% women were there in parliament. I'm sorry, it's only 9%, not 4%, it's 9%. Okay, 9%. This is a small share when you consider the fact that half of the population are women, but in India, half of the population women only. So, in that half of the population, how they can given only little percentage, only 9%, or till now it's only 33% reservation. When women were more than half, now in 2020 they were more than half. Then how it will be a justice to women that they have given only 33%, and that also their debates are going on, means how poor, how worse the situation of women in India. It is issues of this kind that force the country to ask certain difficult and often unresolved questions about whether our democratic system is representative enough. So, with this information, you will get a doubt that whether our country is a democratic country or not. See, here SCs or STs, they have given some priority, some preference. And for women also till now debates are going, means then how can we say that our India is a democratic government? We will get doubts certainly. The fact that we can ask these questions and are working towards answers is a reflection of the strength and the faith that people in India have in a democratic form of government. Okay, so as a democratic, living in a democratic country, we can ask some questions that whether we are living in democratic country or not, whether all the rights, all the people are treated equally or not, these doubts may certain rise. What is the strength of the country and the faith that people in India have in a democratic form of government? So, these are the questions will rise. So, this is the country, this is the lesson. Why do we need a parliament? I hope you understood, children. Thank you. Have a nice day.